Welcome to the Wolverine TV. I'm Clayton Sayfie with EJ Holland. We are talking Michigan football recruiting here. A huge weekend coming up for the Wolverines. Obviously, it's the dead period, so you can't have kids in the building. You can't have contact with these kids while they're on campus, but they can have contact with each other. They can talk to each other. They can hang out and watch the Michigan-Wisconsin game on Saturday night. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They're all going to be in town. I think, what did you say, 12 commits and several other targets. So we're going to break down the most important 5 visitors of the weekend for Michigan, guys that are heading in to Ann Arbor. Some guys that are seeing it for the first time, some that have been there quite a few times. So EJ, will start there with, an important one that is committed to Michigan but has not been to Ann Arbor. Jaden Hood, a kid that you saw and watched him play live last weekend. He's obviously been courted by Minnesota and hometown Miami of Florida. So why is it so important to get him on campus this weekend?
Yeah, he's one of the handful of kids that's never been to Ann Arbor. Obviously, he is the commit that we've talked about the most in terms of possibility of him looking around. He has the dead period not been extended, I think he would have made visits to both Miami and Minnesota. So I think getting him on campus, getting him around his fellow commits, having him at least get a feel for Michigan, for Ann Arbor, even like you said, if they're limited, not being able to see the facilities or meet with the staff, they at least get a feel for the campus and the city and see if they think it's a right fit for them from a personal standpoint. And obviously, they get to hang out with each other and really get to strengthen their class bond. So I think it'll be a big weekend for Hood, and it'll go a long way in keeping him committed to the Wolverines. So he's obviously hasn't had the strongest of senior seasons at St. Thomas Aquinas, but he's still a valued member of the class. So I think getting him on campus and getting him around the guys will be important.
Definitely. The next guy would be Wright from California, a cornerback in 2021. This is our last guy in 21, and then we got some guys in 22 that are going to come and be able to hang out with some of these commits and other targets. But why is it so important that he's coming all this way? And what do you expect, I guess, his takeaway to be from being on campus?
Well, this is like a de facto official visit for Sierra Wright in a sense. He's set to make a commitment on January 2nd, and he's already done this with USC. So now he's doing it with Michigan. And he's also planning to do it with Oregon and Nebraska and Utah. He's already been to Notre Dame. That's another school that's very high on his list. So I think he's kind of treating this as an official visit. He's staying right across the street from Michigan. He's going to do as much as he's allowed to do per the rules as far as touring the campus and the academic buildings. He's obviously going to get to hang out with the commits. So I think it's huge. Michigan obviously needs another corner this cycle. The only commit they have right now is Jaden McBurrows, who will also be making his first trip to Ann Arbor, but is pretty locked in. So why he's not on the list. But getting both of those guys on campus is big. I think that with Sierra Wright, USC still has the lead. I think the safe pick is for him to stay out west. But at the same time, Michigan has been working extremely hard on him. Zordich has been in contact throughout the dead period. Jim Harbaugh's had a couple of video chats with Sierra Wright. So there's only a handful of remaining uncommitted targets in the 2021 class, and Sierra Wright is one of them. And getting him on campus on a weekend where most of the class will be on campus is really nice for Michigan.
Yeah, and if you've been watching Michigan's games here in the beginning of the season, it's important that they get some help at cornerback. So it'd obviously be huge to get somebody with his kind of talent level. And that leads us into a couple other defensive back guys, corners. We'll start with Will Johnson, the 5-star right out of Grosse Pointe. His dad played for Michigan. We talk about that quite a bit. But this is not a slam dunk or even a layup for Michigan whatsoever. It is nice, though, for Michigan that he will be around some other guys that are, locked in and headed to Michigan next year, possibly the year after with some of these kids, including Tyler Martin, who will be in town. But Will Johnson, I mean, there's been some Ohio State buzz around him. Same with Damani Jackson, who we can talk about in a second as our fourth guy on this list. But I guess he knows so much about Michigan, but I guess, what is he going to learn this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Will's going to really learn anything from the weekend. I mean, Will's been to Michigan plenty of times growing up. He knows Michigan. He knows everything it has to offer. I mean, Dion obviously played at Michigan and knows more about Michigan than any of the parents that'll be on campus this weekend. So it's not anything that Will needs to see. I think for Will and for Dion, they obviously want to see Michigan win on the field. But I think more importantly, it's just him getting a feel for guys that are going to Michigan. And especially in the 2022 class, he'll get to hang out with Tyler Martin, who will be a vocal recruiter for next cycle. He'll get to hang out with some of the in-state guys that are committed in 2021. So for him, it's not getting to see Michigan or learning anything about Michigan. It's more about connecting with guys that are already committed to Michigan and just seeing what the feel of the class is. But obviously big for Michigan to get Will on campus, especially with the struggles on the field. Like you mentioned, he's not a slam dunk. There's been a lot of Ohio State buzz. I talk to Will all the time, and I know he likes schools like Oklahoma and Penn State, and Notre Dame's having a really good season and was on his top schools list. So yeah, he's not a lock to end up at Michigan because he is a legacy. So I think it's important for him to just get a feel of the people that are going to Michigan.
Yeah, definitely. And then on a similar note, Damani Jackson, a 5-star as well. I think the number 2 player in the country in 2022, making his way in. Basically the same thing, the Ohio State buzz. Both of those guys they tagged Ohio State football in their Instagram bios a couple weeks ago, probably trolling a little bit. But at the same time, there's real interest there. So they're not just messing around per se in terms of how interested they are in Ohio State. But obviously huge. He's on his own dime flying in, wanting to see Michigan. And like you mentioned with Will Johnson, wanting to be around the kids that are going to Michigan and get that vibe check on that. So I guess Damani Jackson, your thoughts on him making his way in?
Yeah, I mean, I think Damani could be the most important visitor out of all the visitors on campus this weekend. This is an opportunity, even though, again, the coaching staff won't be able to meet with him and his family. I think this is an opportunity for Michigan to really solidify itself as a major contender in his recruitment. I think that, he's always called Michigan his dream school. His father's originally from the Midwest and grew up a Michigan fan, and so in turn, Damani did as well. And so he really does know about the program. Like, he's not just some random California kid. He's not a true California kid. He's kind of moved around as a kid and ended up in California. So he knows a lot about the program, about the history, about what Michigan means. But this will be his first time actually getting to see Michigan. So it's going to be important for him to get a vibe of the campus and of Ann Arbor. His father, too, I know is really, really looking forward to the trip. So, yeah, I think Michigan struggles on the field, and, some question marks about the direction of the program have kind of dampened its outlook for Damani Jackson. But at the same time, there's very, very strong interest. There always has been strong interest from Damani and his father. So if Michigan can right the ship on the field, they'll have as good of a chance as anybody with Damani. And I think that's evidenced by the fact that they're making their way on their own dime to Ann Arbor.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last guy on our list would be Isaac Thompson, a 4-star in 2022, safety out of the St. Louis area. Who is making his way. He's a kid that you have your future cast pick in for Michigan to land him. So I guess, could this be the thing that seals the deal? Could this be the thing where he even maybe calls Jim Harbaugh on this visit? Obviously not between the hours of 7:30 and 11 on Saturday night, and pulls the trigger, though, and commits to Michigan.
I think Isaac's a very measured kid, and I think again with everything going on with Michigan, I think he'll wait. He told me he would like to have a decision done early, but likely not until the winter. And I know he still would like to make some other visits. At the same time, I think Michigan has taken real command of this recruitment. However, obviously the last couple of weeks have been very, very rough on the field, as well as off the field with everything being put out about Jim Harbaugh, etc., on social media. So I don't know if he would commit, and especially with the uh, issue with Bob Shoop as well. I don't think he would pull the trigger. I mean, it wouldn't shock me. It's recruiting. But I do think that it's important for this visit's important for him because Michigan has been trending the right way in his recruitment because it'll be his first time getting a live look at campus, and again, just like we've talked about over and over, getting to know some of the guys that are already committed to Michigan. He's actually a Michigan State legacy, so it's interesting. But his dad really values what Michigan has to offer, both on and off the field. And even before Isaac had a Michigan offer, his dad reached out to me about their interest in Michigan. So I do feel like this is one where they could take even more command of this recruitment. At the same time, Isaac's very, very interested in Texas. He's very, very interested in Florida. Home state Missouri's making a big run at him too. So, we'll see where things stand kind of after this visit, and see if Michigan can maybe right the ship and gain some momentum with a win over Wisconsin.
Last thing on this, I guess, obviously it's going to be a fun environment for these kids. And obviously it'll be really good bonding for the ones that have, talked virtually or, texted, but haven't actually met in person. The kids that aren't committed, do you expect guys like J.J. McCarthy? You mentioned Tyler Martin as one who's a vocal recruiter. Do you expect them to kind of push for these guys and say, hey, join us here? I mean, I guess that's, part of the reason why they're all getting together. But I guess how, is it just going to be hanging out, or is it going to be, maybe some guys trying to recruit pretty hard?
No, I think there will be some guys definitely trying to recruit hard. I think Tyler Martin really wants to establish himself as a leader in the 2022 class, as a vocal guy. In that class, you have Marlon Klein committed, who's, a move-in guy from Europe, so he doesn't have that real big vocal personality yet. Alex Van Sumeren is a guy that's very, very quiet. And so I think Tyler wants to take on a role of a vocal leader. And so I think he's going to help with those 2022 guys. Christian Dixon's not necessarily a huge vocal guy, but he is going to play a key role this weekend because he already knows Sierra Wright and Damani Jackson and has known them for years. And all three of them have played Club 7-on-7 together. And so they're all good friends. So he's going to be involved. Obviously, JJ McCarthy is going to be very involved. A guy we didn't mention that's coming in is Tyler Morris, his former teammate, Rivals 100 receiver in 2022. So I think that think all those guys are going to be trying to do their best to do some recruiting.
Definitely. We will have more later on in the week on that in our recruiting show. But that's it for now. The 5 most important visitors that are going to be in Ann Arbor this weekend. Clayton Sayfie with EJ Holland here. Check us out at thewolverine.com. Use the promo code BLUE60 for 60 days of our premium content for free, and we'll see you next time.